Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another EdotGdot presents. Um, where has the time gone by? This is my every game ranked for August and September of 2021. That is right. I am going to be doing 2 months in this video. Usually, this is a monthly, every month video series. But I'm a school teacher by trade, and August, September, end of August, beginning of September was a little busy for me, and got away from me. So here we are in October, and I'm going to be working on the last 2 months. But anyway, I have 27 games this month. 12 of them are new to me games. Quite a few new games, but a handful of games that have just got past me, and I just got around to playing them this month. And let's see where they end up. But let's go ahead and get to our first one. Skip Bow. This is the worst game I've played in the last 2 months. And the answer is always, why do you play games like this, Elden, if you know you don't like them? People I love like these games or want to play them. And I will play them with them. Skip Bow. If you haven't played this, is from the makers of Uno. Hazel Skip Bowman, the designer of this game. And this is one of those games where you are just trying to play through your stack of cards. It's almost like a multiplayer solitaire type game where you have these piles in the middle and you're just trying to put the numbers in order in the middle. Once upon a time, 20, 25, 30 years ago, I probably enjoyed this game. Not so much anymore. I think it's just devoid of any meaningful decision. And, it's a thing to do to pass the time with somebody. Skippo. Let's get into our next one. 26. Play 9. This is a golf style game. Where you're trying to get the lowest score, and it's one of those ones where you have a tableau of cards, and if you can match cards or if you can match cards, it negates the score. And then there's some other cards. Again, this is a game that a lot of people in my family like to play, and so I played with them. And a lot like Skip Bow, I think it's just short on meaningful decisions. This style of game seems to have a resurgence. I just heard about another game that this style is being released here. I've seen a handful of these just kind of coming out. And there is something to them. It's a game that you can sit around and talk and have fun, and it doesn't take a lot of thought to play, which is why I don't think it's a good game. But it's also not a bad activity, I guess is what I'll say. If I'm going to say something positive. But anyway, play 9. My number 26 of 27. 25, Trial by Trolley. This is one of those games where it's all about the shock value. And so one person will be the judge, and the other people are trying to, are in teams, and they're trying to convince the judge which horrible person or thing or series of things should be run over by the trolley. And so you're playing on your side and the opponent's side, where you're just trying to make their side seem worse than your side. So it'll be things like, on my side I have cheerleaders and puppies, and that side has used car salesman and Hitler. I don't know which one you're gonna roll over if you're the trolley. It's the trolley problem. Play it off for a laugh, I guess. I played it twice. Trial by Trolley. Again, maybe not. It's good for a laugh. That's my positive thing I'll say for it. 24, Marshmallow Test. Now, those first 3 games are games that as games, not that great. This game, though, is actually a game I want to play again. This is the Marshmallow Test by Reiner Knizia, produced by Game Right. And this is, if you ever heard about the marshmallow experiment, it's where they give a marshmallow to a kid and say, hey, if you don't eat this for 10 minutes, you get 2 marshmallows, or some other reward or whatever. And kids have very funny responses. There's some good YouTube videos on this. This game is just a pretty straightforward trick-taking game where you're playing a series of tricks and you're trying to win the amount of tricks for that round. The trick to this game, though, is you get a point for every trick that's been won when you hit the goal number, and that depends on player count. So like in a 2-player game, when you get to 6, you'll score 1 point for every trick that everyone has won, and the other player gets nothing. And so you can win 6 in a row and you get 6 points, or you can let your opponent win 5 times and then you get your 6th win, you get 11 points. And with more players in the game, the number goes down, but it's the same thing. You're kind of slow playing. With the thing though being, if you're the last person left with cards, or not to hit the magic number, you get nothing. So you're trying to delay this to get the most points possible without delaying too long. It's interesting, but it's really straightforward. Just super basic trick-taking principles. But that little twist is interesting. And the fact that I'm ranking it 24th probably says more about the rest of the games I play this month more than this game. It is a really basic trick-taking game. And I think that's why I discount it quite a bit. But that twist is interesting. And it comes with these fun little foam, little marshmallow pieces. Pretty neat. Anyway, number 24, Marshmallow Test. 23, Lost Cities, the roll and write game. Lost Cities is a card game that is one of my all-time favorite games. One of the greatest 2-player games I can imagine playing in the history of all time. This is a dice rolling version of that game, and the principles are fairly similar. You can play this game with more than 2 players, which is kind of a plus to it. I think when it comes right down to it, though, and this is also by Reiner Knizia, who did the Marshmallow Test. I think when it comes right down to it, though, I'd rather play the card game. The dice rolling game is interesting, but because they're random dice rolls, like you can get the same things popping up over and over again, or very similar things. One cool thing it has in this game, that other dice roll and write games don't really do, I haven't seen it anyway, is you get points for passing. But it's kind of a push your luck type thing. So like you want to be passing sometimes because if you pass, you can score points. But if you pass too many times, you score nothing. And I think that's interesting. So like you're encouraged to pass sometimes, which you do want to pass because sometimes there's just terrible rolls out there. But you don't want to pass too many times, or else you hit this point where you've lost a bunch of points because you passed too many times. And that's interesting. I do want to try and play this one again. It's not bad by any means. But like I said, I almost wish it was called something else because I just like Lost Cities so much. There's definitely a thematic like link to it, and the artwork is the same, and there are some similarities in what you're trying to do in the game. But I almost think the connection is a detractor to me. But anyway, Lost Cities, the roll and write game. Number 22, Whirling Witchcraft. This is part of the AEG. They kickstarted their one of the big conventions, Gen Con Origins or whatever. They have a big game night, and so instead of doing it at the convention, they did a Kickstarter, and you could get this game and another game, which I'll talk about, and another expansion to a game, but that I already have. And the other game I was really interested in, this one was almost like the kicker, and it was interesting enough to me in the description where I decided, what the heck, I'm going to do this thing. And it was a pretty good deal to get the 3 games through the Kickstarter, so I did it. And this game is very interesting. I don't know if I've ever played a game that does it like this. But what's happening is you have these like ingredient cards, and you are trying to create this engine of turning cubes into other cubes. But the way that you score is you want to create a bunch of cubes, and everything that you create actually gets passed to your neighbor. But if you overload their board, whatever gets overloaded comes back to you as points. And it's a race to score. I can't remember, it was 5 or 6 points. So you want to make them overflow 5 or 6 times. But all the while, your other opponent is also passing things to you, and so you're trying to create this engine that uses as many cubes as possible and also creates as many cubes as possible, so you can keep your board down and overload your opponent's board. It's kind of interesting. I only played the basic version. There's a little more, slightly more complicated with some powers and stuff that I haven't tried, and I think it would make the game better. But as it stands, just that base game, very interesting. It's quick for sure, and it has sort of like a weird arc, and I think that's why I kind of discount a little bit in the numbers. But yeah, it was a really interesting game. I think I will try to play this some at least a few more times, because I do think it's an interesting idea, and a clever little game. Anyway, Whirling Witchcraft by Eric Anderson Sundin. Summer Camp. Summer Camp is a game. It's from Buffalo Games and Phil Walker Harding, who I think is just fantastic. Fantastic designer. And this is a little deck building game where you're... it's a summer camp theme where you're earning like merit badges or whatever in these different things. And it comes with a series of different modules that you can mix and match that have different sets of cards in them. But yeah, you're just trying to push your hikers along these 3 paths, and you're trying to get to the end of the 3 paths and score as many points as you can. And it's interesting. I have some friends who were really high on this game, and so they recommended it. So I went out and got it from Target, and it's good. It's a good deck building game. I almost feel like, for my purposes, it's almost a little too basic in the deck building genre. Like, I really enjoy certain deck builders, and this one just seems a little too basic for me, but it is really good. The production's nice. The cards look really nice. The little pathway, I almost think those little pathways, the way they're constructed, is almost one thing I don't like, because you get little bonuses as you hit them, but I don't feel like you like really earned that. It's like your goal is to move up on those things, and so as you land on them, you just get more things, and it just makes the game go faster, I think, which is maybe fine, but it doesn't feel like I did anything special. I just went up my path and I got these bonuses because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go up the path. Anyway, this is Summer Camp. A decent little game. Phil Walker Harding, maybe not his best game, but it's definitely a decent game, and it works. You know, if you want to get into deck building and you want a real entry level type deck builder to learn how these games work, I think this is a good one. Or if you're looking for games to play with people who maybe don't play a lot of games and you want to introduce them to this deck building genre, Summer Camp. It's a pretty good option for that. For me, though, I'm not sure if this is a game I want to keep playing over and over again. Next, old game I played quite a bit, but I haven't played it for a while, and that's King of Tokyo, from Yellow and Richard Garfield of Magic the Gathering fame and other games. But yeah, this is super popular game. Yahtzee style dice rolling, trying to beat up other monsters and get fame, and yeah, just a fun game. As I was putting my list together, I was surprised, because I knew it was on the list. I was surprised it ended up here at 20th. And again, I think that's more a testament to how good the rest of the games are than what this is. Anyway, it's a fine game. I have played it quite a bit, so maybe a little shine has been lost for me. But I know, solid game, especially if you have Little 10-year-old boys or whatever tend to love this game. Anyway, King of Tokyo. Number 19, Rajas of the Ganges, the Dice Charmers. This is the roll and write version of the bigger game, which I enjoy quite a bit. And anyway, lost my train of thought there. Phone rang. I do not like this as much as the bigger version of the game. I was excited to play it, went out and got it, and one thing, the dice are really cool looking, but they're actually almost kind of too hard to read. They have the nice like printed pictures on them, but some of them, I don't know, maybe the light in my game room is not good enough or something, but I had a hard time reading them. And it plays a lot like the bigger game, and because of that, I feel like I'd rather just play the bigger game. I don't know if they were differentiated enough, but it seems like a lesser version of that game. Anyway, Rajas of the Ganges, the Dice Charmers, a good game, but it's very similar to the big version of the game, and I think the bigger version of the game is a better version of the game. Anyway, number 18, Monster Expedition. This one can be played solo or or with other players, and this one moves up above like the Dice Charmers because of the solo. I think the solo version of this was really good. I played the solo and I played it a 2-player. The 2-player competitive version is fine. It just sort of, if you ever played like Age of War or like Risk Express, it's almost in that kind of vein of game. But this one, I don't know. The solo, though, is like you have these little challenges that you're trying to do, and it makes you think a little differently. It makes you approach the game a little bit different, but it goes really fast. You can play the game in 15, 20 minutes maybe, or less if you're really cruising. And anyway, Monster Expedition. I just saw this. You can pick it up at Barnes & Noble for like $20. Anyway, decent little dice rolling game. Monster Expedition. Number 17, Biblios, Quill, and Parchment. Another dice roll and write. This is based on Biblios, which is, again, another one of my all-time favorite games. I feel like that version of the game is superior compared to this dice rolling game. This does play differently, though. And you can you can see the influence, but it does play differently. And I'm just not sure if that different is something that I love, but it's a decent game. If you have a chance to play it, it's going to take you out 20 minutes of your life. And it's an interesting experience, but Biblios, Quill, and Parchment is my number 17. Number 16, Strike. I'm surprised I rate it this high and rank it this high. Is the dumbest game. I just played it last night with some people, and it's just the dumbest, stupidest, lucky game. But it's fun. It's fun every time. I don't know. You're throwing dice into a bowl. If you get matches, you get dice back. If you don't, you lose dice. I don't know. You push your luck a little bit. I don't know. You can play it in 5 minutes. The only downside to this, it does have player elimination. If you play like a 4-player game, you can get unlucky and like get out really fast, and then you're just sitting watching for the next 5-10 minutes while the game finishes up, which is whatever, but you can lose the game really fast, kind of unluckily. But anyway, Strike. 6, Nimmt. I took this to a gathering. We played with a full complement of 10 players in my set of the game, and yeah, I don't know. It's an older card game, simultaneous play. So even with a large number of players, it plays fairly quick. Some people feel you can play random just as well as not, but I find that's not true. There's a little bit of luckiness with maybe your draw of cards, But it's an interesting little thinky trying to make sure you don't get cards. You're trying to play all your cards without getting any back. And doing that strategically plays out pretty well. Anyway, that was 6 nipped. Number 14, 10. This was the other game from the AEG Game Night Kickstarter package that I got. And this is the one that I was interested in. This is from the same designers who did Point Salad and Truffle Shuffle. And I feel like they just had another game coming out that I saw. But anyway, Point Salad is a great game. Truffle Shuffle is a pretty good game. I like Point Salad better. And this one, a little heavier than Point Salad, heavier than Truffle Shuffle, but not super heavy. But it's a cool all auction game. One really cool thing about it is like when you it has a push your luck element to it, and if you bust, you get these tokens that you can spend. So they're additional monies, but they're worth more, but you can't break them up into change. But they also don't go against your money limit, which is limited in the game. You can go over it with these bust tokens. And so busting is not always the worst thing. You guys set yourself up for the future. Also, you can get lots of cards, but if you're not getting the right cards, it's maybe not valuing you much. And then there's these little auctions that pop up for these wild cards. And you're like, ooh, these wild cards, I really want those. But again, if you're not getting wild cards that you can use effectively to boost your actual score, sometimes you're wasting a bunch of money. But this was interesting. I definitely want to play it again. I think it's a really good game, and looking forward to play it again. But anyway, this is 10 from AEG. Number 13, 60 Second City from Buffalo Games. This is a game I picked up at Target. I'd seen a review on it, and it sounded interesting. It was pretty cheap. I think I got it for like $17 or something. But it has these cool little domino tiles on this board, and the dominoes have this little groove in it, which is really nice because as you're playing it on the board has like these little rubber grids on it. So the dominoes sitting there nice and flat, so they're not moving around. And anyway, what you do is you have like these goals on these cards, and you're working with a partner, and you're drawing these dominoes one at a time, just speed style. You have 60 seconds in each round, and you put them down, and once you put them down, you can't move them, and you're trying to create these different patterns on the board, as you can see in the picture. Although that is not legal, I don't believe, unless I misunderstood the rules. I don't think that picture's legal. Anyway, but I'll have like goals like having 6 parks next to each other, or having 10 blue and purples running together in the same thing. And then they have these pollution tiles that come out, and the only way you get rid of them if you surround them with certain goals. And then and more and more goals come out, and you play a series of rounds, and after that you count up your score and see how you did. And I don't know, really good game, especially a quick game, a quick 2-player cooperative game that's thinky, that's fast. The pressure in it is maybe not everyone's cup of tea, but I really enjoyed this one. Anyway, 60 Second City from Buffalo Games is a winner in my book, and I'm looking at the BGG rank, and it's a newer game, but man, 11,000, that is not indicative of how good of a game this is. I don't think this should be rising if people give it a chance. Let's see here. Number 12, Ohanami. This is a game I've played before. I enjoy it. It's a really quick drafting game, but you're working on these columns of cards that you can start 3 of them, 3 gardens they call them in the game, and in the columns you can build off the highest number or the lowest number, and build from there. And so there's some push and pull, and then every round you score cards, and progressively, like some cards score every round, some score in only the second and third, some score only in the third, and one of the colors only scores at the very end of the game as end game points. And you're just trying to get the biggest score, and just I don't know, I really like games like this. I like playing like it has a feeling of The Game, which is a cooperative game where you're trying to play all the cards. It there's just something about that style of game that's kind of sings to me, and this one works. This one works really well. Anyway, I like it. Number 11. This is a new to me game. Dixit. This is an old game. It was published in 2008 and is a bona fide hit and bona fide like classic game at this point. That's super popular. I think a new edition just came out that modifies it just a little bit, but I found this at a thrift store, probably because someone bought the new one, and anyway, found this at the thrift store and looked like it'd been played once or twice. Everything was there, everything was in good shape, and I got a chance to play it, and it's just really good. It's worth all the accolades it's gotten over the years, and it's still, I've played lots and lots of games, and this was fresh to me, and I really enjoyed it. But this is a game where like one person gives a clue, and then everybody throws in a card that they think fits that clue, and then the person who gave the clue wants as many people as possible to guess their card in that clue, but not everybody, because if everybody picks it, then everybody else gets rewards, and the person who gave the clue does not. So that little twist makes it interesting. Anyway, really good game. Dixit. I'm glad I found it. I'm glad I got to play it. Number 10, Garum. This is a newer game. It's not new to me because I played it a few months ago, but I got another chance to play it, and really good. I got played it with 4 players this time, which is I think all my other plays were only with 2 players, which plays quite a bit differently. But 4-player worked really well. Definitely a great game, I think, and I think I will play this some more. Definitely not super rules heavy, pretty simple, plays fairly quick, which is sort of my jam these days. I really like these games that will play like in 45 minutes, and Garum does that. It's very abstract. Like there's a theme with the fish sauce or whatever, but whatever. You're trying to get your colors lined up in a row. is all you're really doing. But anyway, Garum, really good game. I'd recommend giving it a shot if you ever get a chance. Number 9, Seasons. This is another game. I bought this game about 5 years ago at a game store in Seattle. I brought it home, took the shrink wrap off, read the rules, punched everything out. Never played it. And it just sat on the shelf for a long, long time. Then my friend Todd, who really, he saw it sit on the shelf, and I said, it's a game I need to get played. And he's like, yeah. And he looked at the back. He's like, yeah, I'd play this. This looks good. Anyway, he said that a while ago. And then finally we played it. We ended up playing it twice on different nights. Man, it's a really good game. Really, really good game. I'm a little sad that I let it sit on my shelf for so long. But this one's not, especially with 2 players, not super long. But it's pretty thinky, and there's a little, probably depending on how the sets come out, there's a little bit of attackiness, but not a whole lot. However, in both the games we played, Karen the Destroyer was the victor card. It was the card that messed up the other person enough, and he had it one game, I had the other game, and that person won. So is that card overpowered? I don't know. I think I have to play it some more, and maybe learn the game a little bit better. But it's really interesting. You're trying to manage your resources, trying to manage your point scoring opportunities. The second time we played it, we drafted the cards, which I think is a great way to play the game. And anyway, really good game. Seasons, my number 9. Number 8, Just One. I've played this game a fair amount. I played this game actually with a big group. We actually had too many people. People kind of came in while we were playing it, and so we kind of rotated people in and out. But really good game. The word game where one person is receiving the clues from everyone. They're trying to guess what the secret word is. With the limitation that if two people use the same word as a clue, then the person doesn't get to see it. And so you're trying to come up with different clues than everybody else. But if you're not obvious enough, then it's hard to guess the word. But anyway, really good game. If you like party games, word games, Just One, fantastic. I will sing its praises all day long. And then number 7 is So Clover, from the same publisher. Is kind of overtaking Just One. I really like Just One, but So Clover is so good. If you look on the picture there, you can see it has this little plastic board, and you put these 4 cards in there, and then you write one word to try and get your teammates to get all the cards in the right position on there. So you'll write your clues. You actually throw in a 5th distractor card to get shuffled in there. And so this last time I played it, that distractor card totally, I made a clue like death in cemetery is one of the words, and then grave came up randomly out of that 5th card after I'd given the clue, and it was too good for people. Like, I couldn't get past that, and it just kind of messed us over. But anyway, it's such a good game. And if you like word games, Just One, So Clover, I think it's right up there with like Codenames as the 3 best games in that genre. Anyway, So Clover, great game. My number 6, For Sale Autorama. Autorama, this is a different game. For Sale is one of the very first games I ever bought. It's a game I played a whole lot. This Autorama version was a Kickstarter from Eagle Griffin, and I think they did sell an expansion pack that you could fold it into the original game. But this version is actually, the original version was about cars. This one's, about houses. This one is about cars. But what it did is they added a 3rd round. There was 2 rounds in the previous version. They added a 3rd round where you're getting employees. And it created another auction type. The first round is still a regular auction, but you're auctioning for employees instead of for the properties. And then the second one, you're using those employees to auction for the properties, and then you go on to sell them. And these employees have different abilities, and those abilities are so cool, and it makes the game even better. Now, For Sale definitely has a very specific, you could play it For Sale with anyone. This Autorama version, I think you can still play it with anyone, but it does make it a little bit longer, makes it a little more thinky. You have more things to think about as you're making your auction choices. But definitely still not a long game. Probably like a half an hour game instead of a 15-minute game. But anyway, I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it if you get a chance to try this, especially if you like For Sale. I think Autorama is a no-brainer. Go out and get it. Enjoy it. Great game. Anyway, my number 6 was... And then number 5, Azul. Sing its praises again. Just one of the all-time great games. Works well in a lot of different situations. This is where you're picking tiles out of the middle, and you're drafting these tiles and try to place them on your board and score them advantageously. This is the original version. They just announced a new version, which I'm sure I will buy as soon as it becomes available. And yeah, I don't know. What can I say more? Azul is a great game. Number 4, The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9. So way back when I was talking about Marshmallow Test, how it's a little twist on like kind of a basic trick-taking game. The Crew is a huge twist on a fairly basic trick-taking game, but it has like these missions, and these missions vary, and just every mission is different, and your goal is different, and you have to think about your hands. And this cooperative trick-taking experience is just so unique, and it's so awesome. Great game. I've talked about it before. The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9, my number 4 game. Number 3, Hallertau. I got to play this again, and I'm liking this game more and more the more that I play it. It's just really good. uh, Uwe Rosenberg farming game, and this one's about hops and making beer, I guess. But the one thing I like about it is that the action selection and the use of your workers seems really straightforward. Sometimes like in Agricola and Caverna, sometimes things seem like it's hard to like value things. This one I feel like it's a competition for things that are pretty evenly valued, and you can see those. At least for me, I can see those values a little more clearly. And but trying to get that sequence, trying to do things right, trying to the cards are really you're going to churn through quite a few cards, and they're really valuable, and they're a big part of the game. And just trying to get those cards to work for you and do the things to make those cards work. I know, really good game. I'm enjoying it more and more that I play it. And anyway, number 3, Hallertau. Number 2, Fantastic Factories. I played this game a couple years ago. My Kickstarter version just came in with some expansions, which I haven't tried, but I did play the base game. And yeah, just like I remembered it and why I bought it. Fantastic Factories. It's a quick, fairly quickish, like 45 minutes to an hour kind of engine building game where you are rolling these dice and drafting these cards to build them and hopefully produce points and produce or build the buildings that score points. And yeah, just it's a really tight game. So and I was actually looking at some expansions, and one thing I worry about is I think that the base game was designed really, really well to balance off each other. I think the different strategies are all very balanced. And one thing I worry about with the expansions, and again, I haven't played with them yet. One thing I worry about though is if by adding those extra cards into the deck, I'm wondering if it messes with the balance a little bit. Like one strategy are like these monument cards, but they score the more that you get them. Especially the one, like you want to try and build as many of them as you can. And with a larger deck, I feel like it's less likely they'll come out and that you'll see them. But anyway, but other than that, the expansions look interesting. Some of the different building types and the different contractors, like the superpower cards, look super interesting. I look forward to trying. I want to try the expansions. I'm kind of down on expansions. Just in general, but these ones seem interesting. But anyway, yeah, Fantastic Factories, number 2 game. And my number 1 game, you've seen it behind me, Grand Austria Hotel. This is another one of those games I played it a couple years ago. Kickstarter came out, super nice edition. I was able to pick that up. It came with an expansion, which I have not tried yet, but I have played it a couple more times, and this is a fantastic game. I love these designers. They do a great job, and this version looks really nice. The box looks really nice on my shelf, but the gameplay is spectacular. I really enjoy it. You're drafting dice as workers and drafting those dice to do the things. The more instances of that dice number out there, the more powerful it is. And so that's part of the draft, is you might really need a certain action, but it might not have come up, or it might be really less powerful, so maybe you're tempted to do something else. And just trying to make that work to your advantage so you can do all the things that you really need to do is how you win the game. And really good game. You see BGG, it's ranked number 79. I think it's only going to go up with the expansion and with this new version coming out. And anyway, great game. Highly recommend it. That was my last 2 months thrown together. I look forward to doing this again at the beginning of November for October. And it's late. I need to go to bed. But hopefully you enjoy this. I really need to come up with a tagline.
Where? I'm making a YouTube video, Bev.